Oh, hello, 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 hello. Happy New Year to some of you. Some of you I came on last week, so I said Happy New Year, but it's only the 6th. So Happy New Year again. Last week, I actually did a meditation. So I guess actually last Friday, I didn't wish you a Happy New Year because it wasn't New Year yet. But last Friday or last Thursday, I did a meditation. I actually did a practice, some breathing techniques, and a meditation that I use in my classes sometimes. So if you want to go and check that out. Welcome. I'm really glad you're here, my friends. I am Shannon, and this is Radiant Rap, where I come on and just talk to my friends and family about what the heck is on my mind. And prayerfully, trusting and believing that it will be of benefit to, even if it's just one person, it is definitely worth it. So whether you're watching this on live or on the recording, if you have questions, put it in the chat and I will do my best to answer them or get back to you. So, a couple of things. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Thank you for the congrats. So, she's probably congratulating me from what I post. Hey, Tracy, from what I posted earlier today, which is that my blood pressure, I'm on this journey from hypertension to normal blood pressure. And I get this a lot. I get, you have high blood pressure? You, with all the things you do? Yeah, me. For the last 3 years, I have had high blood pressure. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that too, um, about this journey of hypertension to normal blood pressure. And what I said in the writing was that in the post is that I'm humble and I'm vulnerable and excited to share what's happening to me, because I know that it's a combination of grace. It's some discipline is in there, education, faith, and surrendering that has led me to be at this place that I am right now. So, first, I want to give a disclaimer. Okay. I'm not a doctor. Okay. I am not telling anyone not to take medication. Okay. Take your medication. Go to your doctors, please, for God's sake. Okay. All right. And I'll get into a little bit more, but I just need to give that disclaimer. You work with your doctors, right? And your healthcare providers. I'm talking about me, my story, my journey, and also results that my clients and my students get by following some of my programs. So that's what I'm talking about today. Okay. All right. Um, anyways, the reason I feel really vulnerable is because I feel like there's a part of me that feels like I'm talking about it too soon. And the reason I say that is because I recently stopped taking my medication. Okay, it's only been like 9 days. That's really not a lot of time, right? And I spoke to, and so let me just say this too, that I talked to my doctors during this journey of what it was that I was trying to do. Okay. And so two things happened. Well, as a result of basically when I went through menopause, right? Like at the completion of menopause. So I know you younger people are like, okay, what the heck? But a lot of younger people are dealing with these health issues too, diabetes, high blood pressure, all this stuff. And everything was fine. I'm just floating along until I went through menopause. And then my blood pressure went berserk. And I also developed an autoimmune. I had a hyperactive thyroid, and I went on medication. This all happened 3 years ago. I went on medication for both of them. Okay, so that is a part of my journey that I want to go into a little bit more. But first, let me also share that I understand that a lot of what I am going to say um, doesn't only impact me, but it's really close to my heart because there's a disproportionate amount of African Americans that suffer from high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, and other uh, other illnesses like that. Okay, and I recognize that in part, okay, it's an economic problem, actually. Okay. If you go into lower economical neighborhoods, you might not even find a grocery store, let alone, in some communities, let alone fresh vegetables or even canned goods with that are labeled low sodium. There are neighborhoods, and my best friend and I were having that conversation, Jill, earlier today, and that's a fact. And then education plays a huge part. Okay, so I understand that, right? And I am blessed. I'm in a community, a neighborhood where I have access. I have the financial means. I have access. Okay. And I've been on the health and wellness journey for a long time. Okay. So I understand that too. And that's part of why it's important for me to share, even though it's just been 9 days, right? So even if I have to go back on medication, I know that the things that I am doing is helping me to be healthy. Okay, because just because you're on medication doesn't mean that you're healthy. But it was almost like I've been with my wellness journey. It's almost like I need to see how far I can take this wellness journey. Okay, and the reason that is because in my family, we have generations of high blood pressure, hypertension. There's hardly anybody my age. Probably there's hardly anybody that's 40 or over in my family that doesn't suffer from diabetes or hypertension and I'm 59. Okay, so 3 years ago that was 56, right? So yeah, as far as I was concerned, and even as far as the doctors were concerned, you're doing good that you're, not on medication. And I don't necessarily want to just accept that. Okay. So that's been a huge passion and it's something that I just get frustrated about because that's the conversation a lot in my family and in a lot of families, especially within the African American communities that I know, because I can't speak for all African Americans either. Okay, all right, but it's in our family. That's our history. That's, that's, what, we have that in our family. We have a history of diabetes, we have a history of heart conditions, and that's true. That's a fact. But does that mean that everyone in the family is going to suffer that? And does that mean that there's not anything that we can do? I'm gonna share that, Maya. Hey, how you doing, cousin? I'm gonna share that because I've always eaten healthy food and exercise. Yes, and so that's some of why, Maya. But I'm making sure that I want you to really understand that I am being very careful and very, very responsible. Okay. So, and I'm going to go into that. May. Okay. I know Maya is May. All right. My cousin May. who's also in wellness. May is. She's a fitness instructor and trainer in Philly. So what we're finding now, just across the board, is that this generation will not live as long as prior generations. So this Western diet has a lot to do with a lot of the problems that we're having and a lot of these illnesses that we have. Okay. And like I said, in my family, and particularly, we have a history of a lot of us have high blood pressure and diabetes. Okay. And my doctors, they didn't tell me when I said, okay, I want to try and go off I have an endocrinologist for the autoimmune for the hyperthyroidism. And then I had a cardiologist and I have my primary. So when I said, I want to see what I can do, they're like, you exercise, right? Yes. You eat well, right? Yes. Well, it's just some of these things, it's just hereditary. It runs in the family. That is true. I understand that. But what more can I do? So I wanted to dig in, right? And find out what more I could do. So I told them I was going to try. They didn't discourage me, but they didn't encourage me either. Because, this is no disrespect to doctors. I already gave you that disclaimer. I am not one. I have the highest respect for them. I work with them. I love them. One of my best friends is a top surgeon in the country. Okay. I respect doctors. And my daughter is in school. One of my daughters is in school to be a physician. And I love that she is studying alternative medicine. So, she's studying both, because a lot of times physicians don't study nutrition, and, they study the science of more of the pharmaceutical route and the diagnosis route. Me, as a wellness person, I'm on the preventative side of wellness. That's where I like to be, on the preventative side, right? So, okay. My wellness journey started way back before I started making changes, before I became a wellness coach, fitness instructor, which I have been now for 20 years, yoga instructor, long time, almost as long, 17 years, 18 years now this year as a yoga instructor. And I've been in wellness 20 years. But my journey started when I was still a mess. When I say a mess, by middle school, I was doing good. I was an athlete. I was good at long distance running. I was playing basketball, and life happened and I derailed. Right? Started smoking cigarettes. I was, God kept me. I still had a lot going for me, but I was a mess emotionally, mentally, physically, right? But God kept me. Okay. And so it's important to understand that I wanted to change even before I did change. So there's a few things that I want to share that I did, and I believe can help you as well. So the first is I had the faith that I could change. So back when I wasn't doing anything well, and even 3 years ago when I was diagnosed with these things, I had the faith that, it's possible at least, right? And I was grateful. So that was number 2. I was grateful for where I was, even if nothing happened. I'm going to pursue it. I'm going to do the best that I can to help others in the meantime. I'm not just going to sit here and just, there's nothing I can do. And then, in the Radiant system, if you haven't heard me say before, Radiant is an acronym. So this is Radiant Wrap, and the Radiant there's 7 things that it stands for. It stands for rest, activity awareness, diet, introspection, agua for water, note taking, journaling, and training. And all of those things, and I could go on and on about each of them, and all of them I use on a daily basis, and I used over the last 3 years. But this is what I want you to remember. All of those things go into 3 different categories. So with the faith and the gratitude and grace, because none of this would be possible without God's grace. You could do everything perfectly well. And, so you don't have to send me the stories. Well, this person, they never smoked and they did this, and they still, got cancer, because we live in a fallen world. So things can happen. And I know that. And that's one of the reasons why I want to live a life in gratitude, because we're all here for a purpose. I'm not special, right? If I'm special, you got to look at it one of 2 ways. Either I'm not special or we are all special. So either way you want to look at it, nobody's special or we all are. Okay, because we all have greatness inside. We were all meant to shine. We all have a purpose. And so I want to make sure that I'm helping you to live your life purposefully, and that's living my life purposefully. So the 3 things: faith, gratitude, along with the grace. And I had the grace to have faith and the grace to have gratitude. And then meals, okay, was one of the things that over a longer period of time, might not be a long period of time for you, but over a longer period of time, probably 20 years ago, because I didn't even know any better. Some of the things I ate, some of the things I did, I just didn't know any better. But probably, I would say about 15 years ago, maybe I stopped, maybe longer than that. I stopped eating pork, like a lot of pork. Right. And then over time, I wasn't eating as much beef, like red meat. Right. And then so it got down to really chicken and fish. So when I was diagnosed with hypertension, I was only eating chicken and fish. Right. And then when I was diagnosed with that, no matter what I did, I exercise. So meals, movement, and mindset. Those are the 3 things I always talk about in my coaching programs. Those are the 3 things that we're going to touch on. Always. Those are 3 things I'm looking at. Those are the 3 things we're working on: meals, movement, and mindset. And all of those Radiant acronyms fall into meals, movement, and mindset. All of them. Okay. So even rest, because that's when you cease from moving, right? You cease from you surrender, let go. So last year, a year ago, not today, but around this time, every year my church does some type of a fast, some type of a Daniel fast, a variation of it. And they're about to do it. If you want to look at it, you can go to, I think we're starting on Monday. Right. This year, it's a little different than what we've done in the past several years, but it's going to be a good fast. And there's some spiritual reference to go with it. So it's not just about eating. And that's the crust of my practice. To be healthy and whole, it can't just be about nutrition. It can't just be about exercise. It can't just be about your body. It has to be about your mind too, right? Your heart, your soul. It has to, in order for you to, if you really want to be healthy and whole, because I know plenty of people that are spiritual, going to heaven when they die, and they're living life on earth, suffering and in pain because of choices that they're making. Right? And then I know a lot of people fit, 6-pack, strong, looking good, all externally. They got nails done, hair done, they all got it all together, but they're tore up inside. Okay? So it's about being healthy and whole. So a year ago, the fast we did last year, it was 3 weeks. The first week we gave up sweets. The second weeks we gave up meat. Somebody help me because I'm forgetting. So it was sweets, meats, and wheats. Wheats. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first week we gave up sweets. The second week we gave up meats. And then the last week we gave up, thank you, Christy. The last week, exactly, we gave up wheat, right? And so from that time, I never went back to meats, never. And I also, and I'm not saying this is what you do, I'm just telling you what I did. I also gave up dairy, seafood, right? So that's the definition of a vegan. So I don't do any of that. Only thing I do now is collagen, and I do a brand of collagen that I have on my website. What I use. You want to help small business? Then come get your collagen from me, which is beautiful because I don't have any problems with my joints or anything like that. So that's where I do use collagen. So that's not, collagen isn't vegan, right? But other than that, no seafood. And so let me just say this. I watched this movie. It just so happened that during, what's that? Oh, I don't know who that. Okay. So it just so happened that during the time that we were fasting, I watched this Netflix special called Game Changers. Have anybody seen that? Game Changers. It's on Netflix. It's still there. Let me just say this. If you're sensitive, you're teetering about eating meat or whatever, don't watch that. Like, my daughter was like, Mom, don't tell me about it because, she's not trying to give up meat. She don't want to hear it. She don't want to watch it. Don't watch it because it will put things in. And it was just enough to put me over the edge into, and this is another place where grace comes in. And I promise you, I have not missed meat. So I know some of you love meat. You're like, I can't give up meat or whatever. I didn't miss it. Not even seafood. And I love crab meat. So that's grace. Crab meat, fish, salmon, that's my jam. But I haven't craved it. That's grace for me, my journey. Not telling you not to not eat it. It just fell away. It really did. It just fell away. If you had told me I was going to eat salmon, I wasn't going to, because especially our seafood fest, me and my daughters, that's our thing. Like, we get together, we put the newspaper out on the thing, we do crab legs, and we'll sit there for hours. And this year, I put the newspaper down. As a matter of fact, we use Christmas wrapping paper. We put it down on the table and everything. And I did it for them this year and didn't eat it and didn't want it. And I do the same thing for Thanksgiving. I ask them what they want to eat. They tell me what they want. They wanted ham. They wanted a turkey. They wanted they wanted greens with some smoked turkey in it. I cooked all of that for them. That's God's grace. I didn't want it. I made my own greens. I ate my vegetables. I'm learning more and more about plant-based food. And for me, but let me tell you, in the movie Game Changers, they're like, in 3 months, you'll see this big difference, and their numbers were changing and lowering and stuff, and mine didn't. So people have asked me all last year who knew that I went plant-based, oh, so are you feeling better? You feel any changes? And I couldn't really say I was, because I was doing that collagen. I knew that was helping me, like I just feeling good with the joints and stuff. I'm telling you, it's really good stuff. But my blood pressure, I would still have, every time I tried 3 different times to not use the blood pressure medication, and I couldn't do it. My blood pressure would spike up. 3 times I tried it last year. And so something just, I don't know, was keeping me. And then I tell you and I forget, maybe mid-year, June, July, something like that, coffee fell away. I'm telling you, just fell away. I just didn't want it. I haven't had coffee in at least 6 months. Now, when that happened, my grown children were like, wait a minute, who are you and what did you do with our mom? Because I am a coffee connoisseur. Like, I barely like Starbucks coffee. I like to make my own and, have my little routine. And even when I went vegan, I just, had to search and find the right meal replacement for the milk, which was oat milk was a good option. But then the coffee fell away. Still, my blood pressure didn't change. My body composition got better because I had broken my ankle in 20. And so a lot of things that I did before I couldn't do in 2021. And I had, put on this weight and I had lost muscle tone and blah, blah, blah. And so that started to change, my BMI got improved and stuff like that. So then my birthday, which was the 29th. The day before, I was coming back from Philly and or Jersey, and I just didn't take the medication. And my skin is really sensitive, so I don't know if you can see these marks on my arm, but it's because I'm taking my blood pressure so much, like that cuff squeezing my arm as often as I'm doing it to make sure I'm not being crazy, right? And I talked to and it's been beautiful. Listen, my blood pressure, some of the readings have been better than when I was on the blood pressure medication. Never got readings as good on the medication as I'm getting now. Like, hallelujah. I'm talking shouting, right? But listen, I was fearful. And I talked to my brother this morning because I was feeling fearful about sharing. I didn't tell him I was going to do this live or anything, but I just said to him, we were talking on the phone. I said, well, when this is the challenge that I have, and I don't know how long it's going to last. Maybe I'd have to go back on the medication, but I'm not going to claim that. We'll see. So far, so good. But I told him during the day when I'm doing my mindset. So that was meals. Movement, I'm already doing. I was already doing anyways. Of course, when I broke my ankle, I had to stop. I walk every day. I have 9,200 steps right now. So I try to get like 10,000. So it's not crazy. That's not crazy. That's a 2-mile walk and, a fitness class for seniors here. I vacuumed the floor today. It's not crazy. Now, if you're only doing 1,000 steps a day, then 10,000 steps is going to seem crazy. Don't try to shoot for 10,000 steps if you're doing 1,000. Get to 2,000 first. Okay, see what I'm saying? So you don't have to do everything, take it one day at a time, okay? So the third thing so the meals, the movement, and the mindset, I'm still a work in progress. And like I was saying, I spoke to my brother this morning and I told him that the problem that I'm having is that when I get engrossed in my work, especially my coaching, building a team now, my administrative work. I do writing like fitness columns and, I do writing for my posts and things like that. So I'm doing a lot. And when I get engrossed in that kind of work, not so much my classes and stuff, it doesn't happen. But when I get engrossed on the computer work and stuff, that's when my blood pressure rises. And I said to him, so I don't know if I should, because it goes up. And he says, well, that's because you get into your work. So he goes, but, don't be fearful. Just step away and bring it back down. And that's what so far I've been able to do. Like go into that meditation mode. That's part of the radiant. Okay. Activity awareness, first of all, being aware of what you're doing and what you're feeling and what you're working, how you're moving your body, your posture, and also what your thoughts are, what you're thinking. Okay, so that's part of it. And then the introspection is the meditation and the prayer. And so someone asked me last week, well, what's the difference between praying and meditation? Well, praying, you're talking to the Father, right? You're talking to God. Meditation, you're being quiet. You're surrendering. You're waiting to hear, or just being open, being available. And a lot of us don't do that. We can't. We don't know how. And so this is making me do that multiple times a day. And especially because I don't want to be stupid, an idiot. And I know that, okay, I'm not calling you stupid, but a lot of you don't take your blood pressure medication. You don't take, well, some of you not taking blood pressure medication. Some of you don't even know you have high blood pressure because you don't. When's the last time you took your blood pressure? Get a cuff. Okay, they don't cost a lot of money. Have one at home. Take your blood pressure so you know what's going on. Because you know what? They call it the silent killer. So I'm not being irresponsible. I'm not being dumb. Every day I've had really good readings. Any questions before I go? That's all I wanted to share. With grace, I've had faith, grace to have faith, grace to be in gratitude, and not it just be about me, of course. I mean, serving and doing my best to help others, right? And lift up other people and give back. And you, I know, have a purpose too. It could be, I don't know, accounting. It could be a teacher. It could be, in the health profession. It could be you're a trainer like me. I mean, whatever it is, you're a musician. There's so many ways that we serve, and God has given us a purpose. Some of it aligns with our profession, but it doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you do, we're supposed to be bringing love, right? And service to others, especially when you're the blessed, because to whom much is given, much is required. Okay. And so the meals, I changed the way I ate. And so a lot of you that don't have the challenges that I have, right? If you just stop eating as much meat, you will see a difference. The weight will fall off, or, you'll feel, just drink more water. Water is huge for blood pressure too. People don't realize how much water can impact regulating your blood pressure. What'd you say, May? What was your reason for wanting to stop the medication? Okay, that's a good question too. Thanks for asking that. So there's a couple of reasons. One, because if my kidneys, my liver doesn't have to process all the toxins from medications, I don't want it to. Secondly, once you're on medication, then typically you go to stronger medications, right? Typically, your body gets used to that medication. Then you got to change and go to. So I'm not against being on medication when necessary. But why should we be, and I'm not saying you, May, but a lot of us, why are we choosing to eat crap, right? Poison, and then try to regulate our body with the medication when the food can be our medicine? So that's two reasons why. And and there's a place for pharmaceuticals, but the whole marketing of poisonous foods that we're intaking into our body, and then the pharmaceutical companies coming along and pumping all of that medication into our body, when some of us don't have to. Some of us have to. And how should we know? And then for me, May, a lot of it has to do with our family, because the whole, just distilling those myths, and other families, of the common answer of, well, it's in our family. High blood pressure just runs in our family. Well, what are we eating? What are we doing? What are we doing? Right? So I'm not saying that anybody else should come off of medication. But if we don't have to be on meds, then why be on meds? right? But meds are necessary for a number of people for a number of reasons. So that was my disclaimer probably before you came on. Was I'm not a medical doctor, and please don't just go off your medication. Take your medicine. All right. Anything that you do should be with the permission or the teamwork of your doctor. But if you are working with doctors and you're up to like 10, 12 medications, maybe you should be reevaluating who you're seeing, you know, maybe. There may be a better way that will save your liver and your kidneys, right? And not because of medications, they start, this works for this, but then it throws a complication into something else. And at the very least, we should want to be on the lowest dose and the least amount of medication as possible, and use food and water and meditation, meals, movement, and mindset, right? Of for medicine. Yeah. So, I just say thank you, Jesus, for now. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, I didn't see a lot. Thanks, May, for your questions. Those were really good. Yep, can cause liver problems. So thank you. And does anybody else have any questions right now? If you do think of some, just put them in the chat, and we'll keep the conversation going. Listen, you have greatness inside of you. I believe in you. I love you. I do. And there's nothing that you can do about it. Just start where you are and do what you can. And I'm here cheering you on. I'm here for you. All right? Peace.